Clicks, cringes and campaigns. What 2025's marketing hits and misses taught us.
So, good afternoon, first of all, and thank you for joining us for this panel. This panel is all about do's and don'ts, the positives, the negatives, the make or break. And obviously, the title, I think it's very opportune. Clicks, cringes, and campaigns. What 2025's marketing hits and misses taught us. I think all of you here are interested in the subject because today, everything is about marketing and campaigns. I am Rodrick Zerafa, CEO of Servizzi Ewropej Malta, which in English translates to European Services in Malta, and our aim is to communicate and market EU funds to the general public, businesses, and everyone living on our islands. For the past years, I was, for 8 years, the spokesperson, head of communications and marketing of the Deputy Prime Minister of Malta and the Foreign Ministry. So I have touched with most of the campaigns and marketing related to the government. But to do so today, I have three very well-knowledge people who will be discussing today's subject. Let me start by James Olliver, Head of Digital PR at Reboot Online, Christoffer Andersson, COO at 500 Casino, and Fabrizio Veltre Stolfi, Head of Gaming Operations, Italy, Evoke. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you for joining us, and let me start. Obviously, a question for all of you. Marketing is all about the positive aspects we try, and let me start by the obvious. Can you tell us what was the campaign that you think that made a difference and changed the world in your industry?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Roddy, for the question. I think it's actually a very good question, and as head of gaming operation at Evoke, I look after the Italian market, and as such, it's one of Europe's most tightly regulated and highly regulated market, and so it's quite rare nowadays to see an operator promoting himself and having quite a campaign that cut through and stand out. But recently, with the market and with the new regulation underway, new rules coming in, we have seen two major players advertising on digital media and TVs. And in my opinion, these two campaigns stood out, mostly because they challenged the status quo and they operated at the very right age of the compliance perspective, meaning that they questioned that as well. The campaign that they ran were about responsible gaming. The new regulation actually forces operators to invest a percentage of their profit in responsible gaming. So what these two operators did, they ran two TV ads on the responsible gaming, on the awareness, and so obviously that sparked the debate. Was that about brand awareness, or so brand identity, brand awareness, or was it more about actually responsible gaming itself? So, and this is actually quite an interesting way to question the new regulation and everything.
Please try to keep the microphone close to your mouth. Please.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Perfect. Yeah. So I would say that I will use the example of a game provider called Shady Lady. It's run by a lot of experts in the industry, but they don't want to really get known. So therefore the name Shady Lady. They didn't put any effort into the marketing. They didn't do anything. They just went to the industry leaders, went to the table and said, we want to make a deal with you. They started to make a deal with a few of our competitors, even with us and so on, and they launched first with Stake. They were so successful that the server that they are using for the RGS were on the verge of breaking. And after this success, they see every single day it pops up, who is Shady Lady, who's behind it? And they creating this hype by just creating a brand identity of being unknown and not spending one single euro on marketing. And that is quite amazing.
James.
I mean, I think when it comes to changing the game, that kind of depends on the game you're playing. And it can be different for any type of client, any type of market that you're working in. So realistically, it always just comes down to the best campaigns that I've seen in the earned media space in the last year have all been about answering two questions. And that is, why now? Why are people talking about it now? And who cares? Because you may have the greatest new product that you think is groundbreaking for you. It might not be great groundbreaking for the industry. So we need to be able to work with iGaming partners to be able to bring new data, new ideas, and widen out the scope when we're looking to touch on top-end, high-level media. And we're talking about, like people like USA Today doing organic earned linking. That is what you get when you stretch things out a little bit more, be a bit more fun, but make sure you've still got that relevance and always answering those two questions. Why now? Who cares?
Very interesting. So on the other side, obviously you have dealt with cringes and bad and negatives. So what would be that thing that you would tell to the people here, don't do because that happened to me?
I'm going to answer that. So, in my opinion, rather than focusing on one single campaign and operator, let's talk about, again, what in 2025 makes a campaign or a market strategy cringe rather than, obviously, stand out. And in my opinion, it's about not being market-specific or campaign that are not market-tailored or tailored for a specific audience mindset or preferences and so on. So, yeah, that's what, in my opinion, makes a campaign cringe, not being tailored to a specific market.
As a CEO, I have to obviously go back to game providers once again. So there's this game provider. I'm not going to say it by name because I don't want to end up at a bad place tomorrow. So what they did, they started to hype up something in for a conference in Barcelona. They started to post a lot of things on LinkedIn and so on. We're going to have this amazing, amazing jet. Even look like a private jet from the pictures. We're going to have flowing drinks. We're going to have this amazing DJ. Everything is going to be stellar. They kept posting. They kept piping it up. People were joining and so on. And then it comes to the day when the flight is supposed to take off. People are met at the airport by an old propeller plane. They're going to have a stand for the DJ, but it's actually a makeshift food car in the middle in order to block the way for the toilets. And I mean, what you can actually learn from that is just that if you're going to set the expectations, maybe you should follow it up with actually the reality.
Yeah, definitely. James.
I think the biggest thing that is with the cringe element is most of the cringiest campaigns everyone in this room might know because they have them, but no one else will know because no one saw it. Because it didn't actually catch, it didn't actually answer any of the questions that are going to engage the target audience and engage the customer base. But outside of that, I think the key thing is just having an understanding of the market that you are working in. There is a lot that we can be doing to be aware of that, and also regulations, which are just always changing, always updating. And unless you are sensitive to that in terms of making sure that the messaging you're putting out is challenging the brand, pushing the brand, but also being responsible, then that can be where you can start getting into the dangerous territory.
So James, let me touch on this, but further continue the discussion. Obviously, to be positive and to have a good success, you need to see what the trends are during the marketing. And obviously, we have shifted from traditional media to TikTok, Twitch, and many others, and others which are coming in the next few months or years. And how has this shift in platforms reshaped what good advertising looks like?
I think whenever there's a update and change, whether that, as you mentioned, sort of like TikTok is probably the largest one that we are seeing starting to be monetized really well. I mean, the messaging and what makes good advertising stays the same. You need to be able to make sure you have your understanding of your brand, your audience, what they want to see. Great example that we've been doing it for years is within the UK market is Paddy Power. They do lots of comedy, skit-type videos. They're not pushing the marketing, but it taps into what their customer base wants. TikTok, the actual moment where you've got to catch attention is 1 second. That's what you've got to stop someone flipping through with their marketing and their base. So all you need to do is make sure you are aligning those key principles of making sure you are targeting the right market, targeting the right voice, targeting your brand and who you want to talk to. But you just amend it. And whether that's TikTok and you have to get to the why now, why is this exciting within a second. But even with the rise in, AI, LLMs, everything like this.
It started to change the world already, but I think in the near future it would definitely be a whole completely different board.
But again, it's not something that people need to think about absolutely rewriting the book. The fundamentals are the same. It's just how you kind of align those into your current marketing plan. And the way that you're messaging, context wrapping is very important with LLMs and AI PR. So depending on the market that you are targeting, depending on the media shift, it's all about just making sure that you are offering that value and also making sure that you are tapped into what people want to see, not just what you want them to see.
Definitely. Christoffer, I think it's a very opportune question that I would like to ask. Balance is key in everything in life, but especially also in marketing in your sector. And I would like to ask, how would you balance the brand visibility with the risks of brand relevance, which is quite different, and especially in a sector which, as we all know, is under scrutiny?
I believe the most important part is that you go back to your roots and you have a look at what is this brand representing, what does identify this brand. And so, for example, in our case, we come from an e-sport background. So what we decided to do was we've seen a lot of people slapping logos on football teams, on esports teams, on famous athletics, whatever. So we decided to create our own team. This will obviously bypass all the kind of marketing laws and everything, because you cannot really just slap a big sticker over the logo of a team, right? So what we did, we started to play with the team. We are handling the entire budget and so on. We're getting full visibility, and at the same time, we are solidifying ourselves as the esport brand or the esport orange that we came from. Further down the line, obviously, it comes up issues. Having a team, being a betting company, might start some interesting discussions. Okay, your team is doing well, we are winning 10 games, and then suddenly we lose against a team we are not supposed to do. Okay, is the team player fixing the game, and so on. So everything goes with its upsides and its downsides, but all you have to do is look at the scale and see in which direction it's pivoting. You will always lose something, you will always win something.
Okay, so Fabrizio, we were discussing this right before we started our panel, and we said that what could be maybe good for James and Christoffer would be bad for you, and vice versa. And so I would like to ask, how does marketing that works well in Italy maybe would be a flop in Sweden, because we have different jurisdictions, different audience, and all of that. How would you adapt campaigns across jurisdictions, but without losing the brand identity, which obviously all marketers make sure that this is kept in the right way.
No, definitely. Thanks for the question. It's actually, in my opinion, all about balancing your core values with cultural intelligence. And again, for example, as an operator, as a brand, you need to stick to your values. You need to have a clearly defined brand identity and values again and a vision that doesn't change. That stays. That stays. You need to stick to that. What's adaptable, in my opinion, are obviously the tone of voice, the channels through which you communicate to your audience, campaign. You need to have a strategy that is tailored to the markets and to the values of your public, of your target.
Obviously, Christoffer, I would like to direct this question to you. In your industry, obviously, everything, at least when it comes to business, is about retention of players and acquisition. And often we have a situation where CRM and marketing live in silos. What's the smartest way you've seen them integrated to actually improve acquisition and retention?
Yeah, I mean, everything starts by creating a brand identity, like I said before. And with that brand identity, you have to also influence the way you're marketing yourself and also the way you're retaining players. If you're going like we are doing towards like esports and everything, and we get people from esports, obviously we want to retain those players by sending them esports campaigns and so on. If we get in a player who doesn't really care about esports, but maybe coming from a different source, then he should obviously be fed with different kind of casino engagements, like free spins, whatever. But it's always, the most important thing is always go back to where did you find this player from, what is his where is his interests, and how can we stay as relevant as possible for this customer in order to retain him. And it's always start from the acquisition side down to retention. And if you don't follow suit, he will most probably end up in your reactivation or your churn segment.
Okay, very good. So one final question, because we're soon running out of time, and it's a rhetoric question for the three of you. But I think the audience here would love to hear your answers. So we spoke about what's good and what's bad. We're now in the final part of 2025, and obviously everyone is looking forward for 2026. If you had to give a piece of advice on what was good and was bad for the people, how to do better in 2026, and also according to the trends that we are seeing. If I may start with you, James.
I think one thing that we've seen consistent results with Reboot is strong data. Especially when working with iGaming brands, we are working with data experts themselves. It's all about the odds, it's all about everything. So if we can come with some very strong, unrefutable data, so we have a team of data scientists at Reboot that do all the kind of calculations for our PR team and everything, and we can stand by it and we know that it's strong. And that is what will, when working with earned media in the iGaming space, we are always up against that little bit of hesitance in order to give the credit. So to get around that, we give them authority. We give them the authority of the data. And I'm not saying that it has to be boring. Like some of these data pieces we've done have been wide-ranging in terms of like ranking NFL stadiums for various different metrics that we're continuing to work on. It just needs to have that authority behind it where you can stand behind it and say, this is why we're doing this campaign, because you want to be looking into various different areas in sportsbook, say, for the NFL one, and this is how we're going to give them something new, something they can trust.
Fresh.
And again, just make sure you're answering those questions. Why now? Who cares?
Those are the fundamentals.
100%.
Christoffer.
I would say, first and foremost, don't be lazy. I mean, there have been so many copycats in this industry. They see something is being super successful for one brand, and they think, okay, we will do the same. But obviously, you have a completely brand identity, you have a completely different demographic, you have a completely different license, maybe completely different financial perspective, like if you're crypto, fiat, and so on. I mean, you cannot just take a model and copy it over. You have to go back to your roots. Like I said, once again, you have to look at your brand identity, what kind of demographics works the best at your place, and how to move forward in your own way.
So in my opinion, I'll say that one recommendation I will give to operators and brands is to create meaningful campaign to stick to your marketing strategy, and this marketing strategy be at the same time adaptable to different marketing audience that you are targeting. Trust data, as James was saying, and again, but also have the flexibility and the mindset to adapt to the market and to your audience. Stick to your values, have core strong brand identity, and don't be lazy, as Christoffer was saying. So that's my advice.
Fabrizio, Christoffer, James, thanks a lot for your grateful insights. Thanks to the audience that joined us here today for this very interesting panel. Please feel free to market and network with our experts here. Once again, thank you all for joining us. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Rodrick. Thank you.